In 1860, America elected the first Republican president. Then, too, Democrats viciously attacked him. They called him an extremist and an authoritarian. Some sought to break up the country rather than accept his election. Lincoln saved America for the first time. And now, by tragic necessity, Trump is in a similar situation. What will the Democrats try this time?
Look at this Hitler speech, and we've translated it for you. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to make Germany great again.
90% of what he says, I'm like, this guy gets it.
He's going to take our economy from here to here.
Yeah, he's definitely taking it to a higher level. I'd say his support is about up there, right around here.
Donald Trump is flirting with fascism American style.
There's a word for this, Ashley. It's fascism.
And they don't just call him a fascist.
Do you think President Trump is a racist?
I think he is a racist.
This was a white lash against a changing country.
The president is, quote, a white supremacist, and that his rise is, quote, a direct result of white supremacy.
There it is, racism and fascism. And we've heard it before. These incendiary accusations have been used for a generation to shame and smear Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and patriots. Is voting for Trump like voting for Hitler? Did Trump win because of fascism and white supremacy? Did he revive the worst strains of America's history of racism? Wouldn't that justify the left in rejecting the results of the election? But if they're wrong, if America is good, aren't we morally obligated to defend her? The stakes could not be higher. We're talking about the fate of the greatest nation on earth. Who are the real fascists? Who are the real racists? We must learn the truth. For progressives today, fascism is on the right, a philosophy of nationalism and authoritarianism. They call Trump a fascist because he's a nationalist. But so was my countryman Gandhi. So was Mandela and Winston Churchill. Lincoln was a nationalist. Were these men fascists? We've had authoritarian leaders since the beginning of time, but few were fascists. Look, Trump gets flayed in the media every day. Real authoritarians would have shut that down. So authoritarianism and nationalism don't exhaust the meaning of fascism. To go deeper, I sat down with progressive historian Robert Paxton, former head of Columbia University's history department. Paxton is no fan of Donald Trump. We have a group in America today, Antifa, which fashions itself anti-fascist.
Yes.
It drives speakers off the campus. Outwardly, it seems like there is some resemblance to Mussolini's black shirts, and the mission appears the same. In other words, to enforce a kind of ideological conformity by roughing up your opposition. Do you see a parallel between Antifa and the fascists that they claim to be fighting?
I think there's some tactical overlap. As soon as you start wearing a uniform and beating people up, you're obviously in fascist territory.
Now, does fascism matter today?
Yes.
Some people have said we are living through a fascist moment or a fascist strain in American politics. Are you worried that that's true?
But now the fascist label seems to me to overlook two very important differences. One is the fascist regimes did not want a free economy. They had a regulated economy, and they had what was called corporatism. And all the business enterprises were required to participate in 5-year plans, and that is the opposite of what's going on.
So the principles of the American founding, the separation of state and society, limited government, individual rights, property rights, free markets, would you agree that this is what the fascists hated?
The fascists and a lot of other people believed that these things had failed, and they were determined to propose an alternative that would revive their country.
Dateline, Rome, October 31st, 1922. Italy was a sitting duck for an ex-communist named Benito Mussolini. The lantern-jawed founder of fascism took advantage of the political unrest in Italy after World War I. Mussolini directed a march on Rome. The next step was complete dictatorial control, a step which the Italian black shirt leader took without a second thought.
When Mussolini started out, he was a Marxist. He was a socialist. He was the editor of the socialist newspaper.
Yes.
He had a long background in socialist politics, right?
Exactly.
Mussolini allied himself with an intellectual, Giovanni Gentile.
Yes.
Gentile famously said, everything in the state and nothing outside the state, which Mussolini himself later repeated. How would you interpret this doctrine of sort of centralized state power?
Mussolini and the people who rallied to his cause, and this included some highly educated people like Giovanni Gentile, they were absolutely determined to make Italy strong, and it would come about by